Have breaking news. The first coach has been fired after the season just ended, and it's Jerod Mayo, the New England Patriots coach, was fired right after the game that they won against the Buffalo Bills. The reason why I bring that up, and the reason why I bring up this game, if they were to go out there and lose that matchup against the Buffalo Bills, they would have clinched the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. But the fact that they won this means they now have the fourth pick. So for all the fans who are going out there and saying that they won a meaningless game, that's what they mean. The team that has the first overall pick is the Tennessee Titans. Second overall pick, Cleveland Browns. Third overall pick, New York Giants. Jerod Mayo went out there and helped this team go 4-13 on the season. The exact same record that they had last season with Bill Belichick. On one end, I feel bad for Coach Mayo. He never really got a true shot with the Patriots. He was handpicked 3 to 4 years ago to be the head coach. Many people thought it was going to be Josh McDaniels, and remember that name in the next couple of minutes. They thought it was going to be him, but he went to become the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, they had to handpick someone, and it ended up being Jerod Mayo, who was a very good linebacker for the Patriots for many years. This was a man that never called defensive plays. Yes, he held defensive meetings, but he never called defensive plays with the Patriots. He was more so of a linebackers coach. And when they moved off of Bill Belichick last year, they brought up Jerod Mayo to be the head coach. The reason why I do feel bad for him, this team has little to no talent. They don't have the talent on the offensive side of the ball. They don't have that much talent on the defensive side of the ball in terms of being healthy on the field. Christian Barmore missed majority of this season dealing with blood clots in his lungs. And he's their best pass rusher. 8.5 sacks last season. Very good at stopping the run, very good at pushing the pocket and causing fumbles. He's a special defensive player in the league. And the reason why he doesn't get that much love, he's been playing on bad Patriots teams since he's been drafted. But he's a very good defensive player. Christian Gonzalez, their best defensive player. One of the best cornerbacks in the league today. He's a perfect player in the secondary. Zone coverage, man coverage, doesn't say much, just a very good player. He's basically a coach's favorite player because he's going to do exactly what you asked him to do, and he's going to go out there and do more. He's going to make the guys around him look better. Jabril Peppers missed majority of this season dealing with a domestic violence dispute, and he dealt with an injury. Now, he was able to go out there and be healthy, but the fact that he was dealing with that situation off the field, they weren't going to put him on the field. The NFL does not want that black eye. But Jabril Peppers, when he's fully healthy and when his head is right into the game, he's a very good defensive player. They've dealt with so many injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Jawan Bentley, their best interior linebacker, missed majority of this season, dealing with an injury they suffered early in the year. So you're dealing with a lot of injuries. And you traded Matthew Judon before the season started. He had disagreements with Coach Mayo. They moved off of him. They traded him to the Falcons. That was a very good move for the Patriots to trade him to the Falcons because he was not the same player that he once was with the Patriots. That's usually how things go in the NFL. Even now, when you get a Patriots player, they're not the same player that they used to be. But they moved off of him, and they got a free draft pick out of it. He never had enough talent to see how good of a coach he was going to be. What did him in was a lack of adjustments and the walk back Mondays. And if you're a Patriots fan, you know what walk back Monday is. He'll come out on Sunday and basically blame the coaching staff. We should have ran Drake May more. We should have did this. Why are you asking me this question? You should have been asking my offensive coordinator. And then on Monday, he'll come back with a different statement and say, you know what? I take it on the chin. That's on me. We'll be better as a coaching staff. If you do that once or twice a season, fine, whatever. This man was doing it every single week. So in that aspect of it, he was not a good head coach for the Patriots. He wasn't, but he didn't have the talent on the team either because he had the same exact record as Bill Belichick this season that Bill Belichick had last season. The lack of talent is not because of Coach Mayo. It's not because of Elliott Wolf, the general manager. It's because of Bill Belichick. Yes, he won those 6 Super Bowl rings, was a great head coach for the Patriots, one of the best head coaches in NFL history. But the lack of success showed a lot on the field when Tom Brady walked away and he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have been able to draft a wide receiver in the first round. You took N'Keal Harry over DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel. And that's just to name a few. Bill Belichick has been terrible at selecting wide receivers in his career, especially on the back end of his tenure with the Patriots. They haven't had a consistent threat deep down the field, and they still don't. Kayshawn, he's a solid player. He's not a true number one. I look at Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas is their best wide receiver, but he's not a true number one either. A very good number two wide receiver. That's why it's essential for this team to go out there and throw a lot of money at T. Higgins. Throw everything at him that you can and up this offensive line. Because not only are the wide receivers a problem, the offensive line is worse. This offensive line is one of the worst offensive line units in the league. Now you have Cole Strange, very good player on the interior. I look at David Andrews. He is a very good player also. The problem with David Andrews, he missed majority of this season dealing with an injury that he suffered 3 months ago. So a lot of it was injuries. And I do think if these players are able to go out there and just give you 8 to 9 games, we would have got a better and clear picture of Coach Mayo and his coaching. Because he had a very good game plan against the Cincinnati Bengals in week 1. They came out tonight and they showed a lot of fight against the Buffalo Bills. And if you're a Patriots fan, I know that you're upset about them winning this game because it's meaningless. The coaches don't care. The players don't care about draft picks. We heard this from the Raiders players many weeks ago. The same with the Detroit Lions 3 to 4 years ago. They just don't care about the picks. Only we do. In fandom, we care about picks because we're worried about the team long term. But those players in the Patriots locker room, they don't give a damn about the first round pick. They don't care if they had the first pick or the last pick. They want to go out there and win games, and rightfully so. I just want to explain this to you guys. The players want to go out there and put their best effort on the field, especially if they're not guaranteed a contract for next season. They may be out the NFL, and not every player in the league is making millions. I know that's what it seems like. They're not. They have to deal with taxes, deal with agent cuts, insurance, all of those things. So even if they're not going to be the Patriots next season, they want to make sure that they could go to another team like the Tennessee Titans, like the New York Giants, like the New York Jets. Even though those are all bad football teams, this is still one of the best jobs to have in the world. So you want to put your best foot forward. That's the part of being a professional. Just like with you at your 9 to 5, wherever you work, you're going to put your best foot forward, even if you hate the job, because you want the paycheck, or you just have that much care about yourself and your work. So I would never come on here and say players are stupid for winning. I will never say that. Go out there and perform to the best of your abilities. And if you're not going to perform to the best of your abilities, let someone else get that chance and go out there and do that. So that's why they went out there and showed fight today with Joe Milton and crew. And they fought for Coach Mayo. They're in some close games this year. They got completely blown out by the Chargers. I believe that was the game that did him in, because that's when you start to hear whispers about Robert Kraft possibly going back on his word. Because for a good month, it was basically kept a secret. They're going to keep Coach Mayo as the head coach. Then they just took a complete 180. And I also believe that it is a deal already in place with Mike Vrabel to come in and be the head coach with the New England Patriots. He's a former Patriot. He has a Patriot way about him. Not only just that, remember Josh McDaniels, when I first mentioned him earlier in this video within the first couple minutes, that man will be the offensive coordinator with Mike Vrabel. That's all been confirmed. Wherever Mike Vrabel goes, Josh McDaniels will be there. They're close friends off the field. They're close with Bill Belichick. Now, I will say this. Drake May has potential to be a top quarterback in this league. That kid is special, but he has to take care of himself. He's been knocked in and out of games this season. He's been banged up a lot because his offensive line is so terrible. But there's something there with this kid. There is more talent here than it was with Mac Jones. And Josh McDaniels was a terrible coach with the Rams, bad coach with the Broncos, one of the worst coaches in Raiders history. But as an offensive coordinator, and as an offensive coordinator alone, underneath Bill Belichick, and that's the key caveat here, because Bill Belichick's not coming back. He's in North Carolina right now working at transfer portal with college. Josh McDaniels, when he was with Belichick and Brady, one of the best offensive coordinators I've ever seen. And I can't stand Josh McDaniels because of all the stories I've read about and heard about behind the scenes. When you hear about those stories with the Denver Broncos, he's tearing down the pictures of Shannon Sharp and John Elway and Terrell Davis, and you can go look it up. That's true. Yelling at people, you're on a power trip. He did the same thing with the Raiders. But as long as he can go out there and work with Drake May, and he can bring back that similar offensive philosophy, I think you'll be okay. Because even though I can't stand Josh McDaniels, That man did a terrific job with Mac Jones in his rookie season, and they made the NFL playoffs. And I would give credit where credit is due. Josh McDaniels, as an offensive mind, as an offensive coach, not as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator, one of the best the NFL has ever seen, especially with Tom Brady. But Mike Vrabel, I like him a lot. His tenure towards the end with the Titans, it did get a little nasty. But those beginning stages were special. He turned around Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry had some of his best years underneath Mike Vrabel. The offensive line was able to go out there. They were able to kick. And you hope that Mike Vrabel will get the best out of this team. And I really do believe that he will be their next head coach. Within the next couple of days, they're going to go through the Rooney process. They're going to interview the minority candidates because that's what you have to do in the NFL. They're going to bring in Mike Vrabel. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out there and he has a meeting with him, Robert Kraft does, and immediately right after that meeting, Mike Vrabel is the head coach with the Patriots. And Alex Van Pelt will be pushed out the door for Josh McDaniels. You have talent on this roster, but they need a complete revamp. They need to go out there and invest in an entire offense in that front office. Look at Brad Holmes with the Lions. The Lions were struggling for decades. They brought in Brad Holmes from the Rams. He kicked in a new philosophy. Elliott Wolf, I think, will be a very good general manager long term. He's done a lot of good things. Let him go out there. Let him work on this. Put your head together with someone else in the NFL. Bring in someone else to help you out, because this draft right here will be one of the most important drafts in Patriots history since Tom Brady left. You didn't get it right with Mac Jones. You have to get it right with Drake May. You have to get this offensive line right. You have some offensive pieces, DeMario Douglas. You have Kayshawn. You bring in a true number one wide receiver. Hopefully you can still draft Travis Hunter. When I look at the top teams in front of the Patriots, and I look at the Titans, the Browns, and the Giants, all three of those teams need quarterbacks. The problem is this quarterback class is not good. Good for the Patriots, you could trade back, or you can still get Travis Hunter with the 4th pick. And if one of those teams get Travis Hunter in front of you, that's okay. Go with the best tackle that's on your board. And you build from there. You have cornerback help with Christian Gonzalez. You bring in a wide receiver that cancels out 2 positions right there. You build this offensive line. Ramondre Stevenson fumbles the football too much. It may be time to move on. And they just gave him a contract extension. And I also did Coach Mayo in. Coach Mayo would come out. We're going to get rid of Ramondre Stevenson. We're not going to have him play that much in this game. The man goes out there and has 20 touches on the game and fumbles the football twice. We're going to go with Antonio Gibson this game. Antonio Gibson starts the game, only gets 4 carries on the day. They go right back to Ramondre Stevenson. He could never get the game planning right. So on one end, like I mentioned 4 days ago when I first made that Patriots video, moving off of Coach Mayo, I wouldn't come on here and be sad about it if they moved off of him. I wouldn't be sad if they kept him. But I'm going to come out here and going to cut it from both ways. He could never get the roster right because he never had the chance to. Because this is still Bill Belichick's mess. Bill Belichick drafted 2 tight ends. And he immediately went into free agency. Give me Hunter Henry. Give me Jonnu Smith. You know how bad of a look that is? Even though you went out there and you won all the Super Bowls with the Patriots, do you know how bad of a look that is? For you to go out there and draft 2 players and they didn't work out. Hey, Robert Kraft, let's cut the check, something he rarely does. And he brings in 2 tight ends. And only one of those tight ends worked out in Hunter Henry. Jonnu Smith didn't work out. And I look at Jonnu Smith now with the Dolphins. What the hell is going on? Why couldn't the Patriots do that? Bill Belichick had Matt Patricia calling defensive plays with Mac Jones. And that's all led up to this roster being in a situation right now. So even though Coach Mayo was a bad coach, don't get me wrong, this was a bad situation from the jump. And this is why coaches, when they're top tier coaches elsewhere, they don't want to take jobs like this. He did have a very good quarterback in Drake May. He did go with Jacoby Brissett to start the first quarter of the season. And that was smart because you want to take care of Drake May. Drake May right now is playing reckless, but he has no choice but to because his offensive line is bad, because the wide receivers can't get open down the field. But I hope that everything works out for the Patriots. I'm not going to come on here and be a Patriots hater. This is what they get for running the NFL for 20 plus years. I just want to see good football from everyone. It makes the NFL better. I feel for Coach Mayo because he lost his job. And I can make the case that he was better than some of the coaches in the NFL right now as a head coach. He was a bad coach with the Patriots. Don't get me wrong. Now I'm looking at a certain coach over there with Atlanta, and I'll say, hey, maybe Coach Mayo wouldn't be that bad over here. Coach Mayo would have a spot in the NFL as a linebackers coach. And hell, he may be a head coach one day again in the NFL, but it was way too much too soon. They picked their successor too soon. They should have let it play it out. But the Patriots get to walk into the situation. And before you guys ask, I do feel like this. If Mike Vrabel was not available to be a head coach, they would have kept Mayo for at least a year or two. But I wanted to see him go out there and get a couple more years underneath his belt. That's not going to be the case. We'll see what happens. I wish everyone the best involved with the players in terms of them moving around and adjustments, because there's going to be a lot of players that are not going to be on this roster next season. A lot of the players on the roster right now, they're not going to be here next year. Hopefully they can find a place in the NFL. They can find success elsewhere. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.